And I remember she told me that, Dad, I'm in love with this Kenyan. And for me, it was a shock. For our family, it was a shock. We probably reacted in a wrong way.
I probably reacted wrongly in some ways.
My wife and I, we cried a lot, we prayed.
On February 24, 2024, we covered a story that shook many people, a story about Sylvia and Bichanga.
Let me just say this. Usually the parents, when they're both the same race, they want that for their kids. They want their kids to date within the same race. So I'm going to give y'all an example. I'm black, as y'all can see. My parents are black. Usually in the black community, I'm not saying all, but a lot of people in the black community, the parents that are both black, they would love to see their child bring home someone that looks just like them. And it's not just in the black community. I'm sure in other communities as well. That's just how it is, though. It's not being racist. It's just you're not accustomed to seeing something different, so you react a certain way. Now, when you start calling the person certain names, racial slurs, then that's when it becomes a problem. But it makes sense when you have your parents that are both white in this situation right here. They would like to see their daughter with a white man. That's normal. Let's keep watching.
This couple right here, they've been together for years, standing by each other through everything. But today, we are not talking about them. Today, it's about their daughter, Sylvia. When Sylvia told her parents she was going to marry a black man from Africa, they were shocked.
So we were very disappointed.
They didn't just say no, they reacted with anger, with fear.
It was like someone died in our family. Like everyone was crying. Even my mom wouldn't give me a hug. Like they were just so disappointed in me the way I did it. I hid it.
They even rejected her proposal. To them, this was unimaginable. They had different dreams for her, and marrying someone from a world they didn't know was not one of them. But Sylvia made her choice. She followed her heart and left her life behind, traveling across the world to Africa alone. She came all the way back to marry the man she loved.
I love you very much, and I'm so grateful for your commitment to our love. And it was hard, but we survived and we made it. And thank you for waiting for me.
Quitting is not an option. You're the only person that I love, and I will forever love you.
That's when life threw her a curveball. Sylvia and her husband Bichanga soon found themselves in a financial crisis. They were struggling, barely getting by, and Sylvia, desperate to support her husband and make their life work, started selling food on the streets. Every day, she would wake up, prepare mandazi, Kenyan street donuts, and hawk them herself. One morning, someone filmed her on the street selling food, and that video exploded. It went viral.
Sylvia is a renowned street food vendor.
Every radio station, every TV channel, and every social media platform was talking about it. People were calling her Muzungu wa Mandazi, the white lady selling mandazi on the street.
They call her Mzungu wa Mandazi.
Her story of sacrifice and love was suddenly the talk of the town. People reacted with strong opinions. Some laughed at her for living her life in America to sell food on the streets of Kisumu. Others were touched by her dedication.
Hey, that really shows her love for this man. She went across the globe to be with the man she loved. I have no clue how she met this man, but the love seems genuine. That's a good thing to see.
And some were angry. They blamed her parents, calling them racist for rejecting their daughter's choice. Rumors spread like wildfire. As the one who had shared her story, I felt responsible. I knew I needed to dig deeper to give people the full picture. I had to hear from her parents, so I spent 8 months searching for them. And finally, I found them. In this video, you're going to hear their side of the story. You're going to hear what it's like for parents who saw their daughter choose a path they never expected.
Well, hello. My name is Eeryt Miller and my wife Becky. I have a family in the U.S. We have 3 boys and 2 girls. Sylvia was our second daughter, and Sharon was our oldest daughter. She lives in Virginia. She has 3 daughters, and so we have 3 girls for granddaughters in the U.S.
Hello, I'm Becky Miller. I am the wife to Eeryt Miller, and
We've been missionaries here in Kenya. We lived in Kisumu for 3 years, in 2016 to 2019. And so that's when we worked with a mission called AMA Missions, Amish Mennonite Aid is the name of the mission. They've been here for many years. And we were called, we believe, from God to serve on that mission. So we lived in Kisumu. We had a church about an hour away from Kisumu. And so we had different churches. We worked with different churches in the area, but we were focused on church planting. So that was our mission. With the work we did with the mission, it was a very big decision for us to make as a family to all come to Kenya. Our oldest daughter was married, and her husband was a pastor in the U.S. But when we came here, we had our 3 sons, our daughter Sylvia, and my wife and I, and we came as a family. So it was difficult. We left our American living. We left what we thought was our home. And I remember driving to Kenya and coming to Kisumu, and the speed bumps and the potholes and the people, all the Africans. It intimidated us. How could a Musungu, an American, be in Kenya and be a pastor of a church? I was commissioned then to be a pastor from our church in the U.S., to come here and to teach the word of Jesus Christ to these people. And I remember one of my pastors told me that, I just want you to know you might learn more than you can teach those people. And that was right, because I learned a lot from the Kenya people. Maybe they don't have all these things that we have in the U.S., but they seem to be happy. They seem to be happy with less. And so they've taught me a lot. So we came here to Kenya. We were missionaries, and we had a church we went to, and we loved the people. And so yes, one day Sylvia was, I guess, kind of communicating with the Kenyan, the Africans. We lived right in Kisumu, so we lived right in town. And the first week we were there, believe it or not, we got robbed. The thieves came in our house and stole my iPad, my camera, even my phone. So we were very disappointed that they was actually in our house and stole a lot of our things. So we felt God was telling us that we don't need all those things. We don't need all that. And so that started off in a difficult way, that here we come to help the Kenya people, and then they rob us. So that was, for our 3 youth boys, that was very, very difficult for me. But we worked through that. And God gave us grace to go through that. It was a time in our life that we just gave it to God.
It's only my dad who woke up and opened the bedroom door, and he saw the guy running past with our things, and he sounded the alarm, and they dropped my mom's purse on their way running, and it had like her passport and ID and everything in it.
Damn.
So that's how I met him. He was not one of the thieves. But one of the missionaries gave my dad a laptop to replace the one that was stolen, and it needed some repairs. So now that's where he came in. Just going to town was an adventure. So my dad said, I'm going to town to fix this laptop. And I asked him, can I just go with you? Like, I just want to see things and see how the people are doing their things. And he was like, sure. I was always a daddy's girl. So I went with my dad. We went to the place the missionaries told us. We always take our electronics to this place called New World in Kisumu. Go there with your laptop. So me and my dad went there. We went upstairs where they fix laptops, and there he was. He's the one who helped my dad. But behind the co-worker, he was sitting there, as handsome as ever. And it was just love at first sight. That's all I can say. I went weak in the knees, and I was like, what's wrong with me? I'm trembling. And I was like, hey, this guy he's very handsome. What?
When Sylvia's parents heard about her plans to leave America, they were devastated. They had raised her with a certain vision of the future, a stable life, a safe life. But when Sylvia chose to leave, they felt overwhelmed with worry and anger.
Hey, they probably didn't want her to get her hands on one of these African men. They probably knew if she left America and went to Africa, she was most likely going to get in a relationship with one of these African men. And sure enough, look what happened. She's married to an African man now. I think with them, they are so used to operating in a certain way all these years, and they didn't want their daughter or any of their kids in that matter to basically start something new. And that's what their daughter did. She married a black man. You can clearly tell they did not want her to marry a black man.
They saw her sacrificing everything they had built for her, for a life they didn't understand.
But during this time, Sylvia was seeing some guy in town. And we kind of knew that she was sometimes out after curfew time or whatever, but
So after that, it was just a time of meeting up in town like that. And then I went to a Bible school in Nakuru, and it was during the time I was there, my phone, like all the students' phones were taken. You could only have your phone 1 hour of the day. So I would always use that 1 hour to call him.
Oh, that 1 hour was like...
Yeah. So I was there for 10 days. So during that 10 days, one of the girls from there, she's a Kikuyu. She is with the Mennonite church there. And she just found out that I was talking to a man from Kisumu. Mm-hmm. So she told the pastors. And she was like, this Mzungu, she's talking to a Kenyan man. And this mission has been going for over 30 years. And there's never been a cross-cultural relationship. So the next time their pastors came to visit our pastors in our compound, I just knew I was going to be attacked. So after the meeting was over, I quickly went home. But imagine that pastor came to my house, him and his wife, and they were like, just come and talk to us. So we sat outside and they were like, we've been hearing, like, you're talking with a man from Kisumu. You know, when you work for this mission, it's not allowed. You're being a bad example for our youth. We don't need youth like you here doing these kinds of things. Are you going to tell your parents or should we tell them? So I told them, let me just talk to my parents. So that's how they left. I panicked before my parents returned because the meeting was still ongoing. I just went, deleted his number, deleted all the messages, got rid of everything. Then when my parents came home, I just told them, this is what happened. I'm talking to a guy in Kisumu.
Look at the face of her father. He looks very disappointed. I think to this day, he's still disappointed. He like, why did my daughter have to marry an African man? He's hurt.
I've been for many months and I'm very sorry. I just delete his number. I deleted everything. I blocked him. Like, I'm leaving him, don't worry. I'm sorry for everything. I won't do it. So they were very upset with me, but they were glad I had deleted his number and blocked him. It was fear, because I knew if I continue, I can be sent home. So then I don't know if I'll ever see him again. So I just wanted to lay low and see what happens. So that's what I did. For those 2 or 3 months, I just pretended I never met him, but I was hurting a lot. I was missing him because I could always go into I had my own bedroom, so I would go into my closet and I would place a blanket up over my head, and I would close my door and place a fan there on a high setting. Then I would call him and we would talk until even 3 in the morning.
So one day she said that she wanted to go have dinner with me. She wanted something to talk to me about. There's something that was on her heart. She wanted to talk to her dad.
So that's what I did. I told my dad, can we go out for supper? Can we have a meeting? Because I didn't want my mom to be there because she's a bit emotional.
I remember the place where we went. It was in Kisumu. It was in a nice little restaurant. And I remember she told me that,
Dad, this is now round 3. I'm still talking with this man. I don't know why, but there's something about him. I just can't let him go. And I told him I'm not here to cry and delete his number and apologize for loving him. I'm not sorry for loving him, but I'm sorry I hid it for so long. But I can't apologize. So I said, this is what I want. This is the path I want to follow. Can you at least allow me to date him? I get to know him better.
and for me it was a shock. For our family it was a shock. We probably reacted in a wrong way.
So he told me, let me discuss with mom. He discussed with mom. It was like someone died in our family. Like everyone was crying. Even my mom wouldn't give me a hug. Like they were just so disappointed in me the way I did it.
Let's be honest. They weren't just disappointed that she hid it. They were disappointed because it was a black man. If it was a white man, they would have been okay with it. If we're being 100% transparent, they were disappointed because he was black. They're not used to seeing that. Think about it. Like I said earlier in the video, both of them are white. I'm sure their kids aren't with another race. So she's the outcast of the family. And they don't like that. They want to keep things traditional. They want to keep things the same. They don't want nothing new. That's why they're disappointed in their daughter.
I hid it, but I didn't know what choice I had because of my position with the mission.
And bottom line, I could say I probably reacted wrongly in some ways, but bottom line, my heart was for knowing if she is marrying a Christian man or if this is going to be a hoax or if this what it is, we didn't know what God had in mind.
You might wonder, if they understood the power of love, why didn't Sylvia's parents see that their daughter's love was unstoppable? Why did they let her struggle so much? Well, we're here to find out. Let's hear their perspective.
But if you understand the U.S. or the American or the Mennonite culture, it's like the Kenyans have different tribes and different cultures. A lot like the U.S., we have different denominations, different Christianities, different beliefs. And I never in my life was a racist. And I remember fast forwarding this conversation, I talked to my wife and our family, and we were just distraught because that's just something we weren't ready for. We weren't ready to face that. And also, to add to that, was the mission I was involved with didn't support that while we were in the mission field. And I respected that. And I knew I was working for them. That mission was the one that brought us here. They were putting fuel in my car. They were buying fuel. They were supporting my mission. So how could I go against the mission, against what I was taught? So it was difficult, very difficult for us. My wife and I, we cried a lot, we prayed a lot, and we went home then, and she went home, and then we worked through some pastors, and they tried to, even on this side, a Kenya pastor, work with them and work with Corey.
And I think around that time they had taken my phone for maybe a week or two. They took my phone and he was like, I just don't feel good you being back there in your room talking to him. Let me just have your phone. And I did tell him, like, my dad's taking my phone, I won't be online. And I was not allowed to leave the house during that time. I was kept indoors, cooking, cleaning on repeat. And I told him, there's no way for me to leave. Like, if this is the life I have here, let me go home and get a job. At least I'll have a life. And they went back and forth with it for a while. They just kept me hostage. And but the funny thing, every time I would go to town now with them, I would see him. Never fails. It happened like 3 or 4 times. I am going there with my 3 brothers as bodyguards, and he's just there walking on the street. And we just pass each other like this, not talking, not anything. We come to a crosswalk, he's crossing in front of the car, we could just wave it. They didn't know. So I could always be telling my family later, I saw him. So that's how it kept on happening. And finally my dad was telling me, hey, the way you keep on meeting him and I have your phone. At one point he told me, I think I might start believing there's something about this relationship because you guys keep meeting even after I've taken your phone. So he started feeling that way. So then it was after that period that he was like, I feel like I just need to talk to the pastors. So another girl had been sent home for a very small thing just before that. So for me, I told him, if you tell them, they'll send me home. So I told him, let me go home with a little bit of dignity left. I just want to choose to go home myself. I don't want to be a prisoner in the house anymore. Just tell them, like, she has decided to go home. So that's how it happened. He told everyone, including the pastors back at home, that she was dating a Kenyan man. We are shipping her back home because she can't leave him alone here. So that's how I went home. And my dad told me, go home and we'll be home in 6 months. If in a year you still love him, I'll look into it. The day I left Kenya, I asked my dad, I'm telling all my friends goodbye, but I'm not telling the most important person goodbye. Can I just go and tell him goodbye because I don't know if I'll ever see him again? So it was like, because of the mission, I can't give you my blessing to do that. Then I asked him, can you just release me as a 23-year-old to go and tell him goodbye? So he was like, it's okay, I'll release you, but I don't bless you. So I told him, iko sawa, I'm out. So I just ran with one of my friends. I found him at his workplace, and we ran up to Acacia, the rooftop place there with seats, and we sat down and I'm telling him tomorrow, in fact tonight, I'm flying to Nairobi, I'm leaving. I don't know when I'll see you again, but I'll have my phone. Just please wait for me. I'll wait for you. We were just having this conversation like, let's just be strong. He gave me 1 year. If in 1 year we still love each other, he'll look into it like, please just wait for me for 1 year. He was saying the same for me, like, please just wait for me for 1 year. I'll wait for you. And that's how we left. So fast forward now, 1 year later, we have been video calling to keep our relationship alive. And my mom and dad bought tickets for the 3 of us, and we came to Kisumu for 5 weeks. We got an Airbnb. He basically moved in to the Airbnb, and we did life together for 5 weeks. We got to know his family. We got to know his culture. My dad had so many concerns about marriage. Will I be passed to the brother after he dies? How do we do dowry? Like, he just had, because he lived in Kenya, he knew the culture and the different stories that happen. So he was so worried.
I can understand it.
Yeah.
And it all worked out, but I remember where I met Corey, we decided to have a meeting. And I remember meeting him, and remember the first thing I talked to him was that I want you to know I'm not a racist, that I believe God made all of us in his image, in his likeness. And so I don't look at a Kenyan as a, you know, a lot of Kenyans even say, we're black, you are white, we're from the devil, you're from God. I don't believe that. I believe God made all of us. And someday, on the judgment day, when Jesus comes back, there'll be all nations and all tongues are going to be his children. It's not just going to be a certain denomination. It's who loves God with all his heart. So anyway, I talked to Corey and we worked through some things, and it was very difficult. It was icy to start with. But slowly, we grew together. We came back to America. We met his family. We spent 6 weeks with Sylvia and Corey. And we just spent that time to meet with his parents, where he went to church, where he went to school. We were also concerned about, is he a Christian? Does he love the Lord? And this is things that Sylvia wanted me to make sure of. So I was encouraged by some people as Christians to search it out and to try to find a way forward with this relationship, because Sylvia's saying, I'm in love with this guy and I don't want to leave him. He's in love with her and he doesn't want her to go home. But we felt they needed some time. So this was a whole process for us to work through. And it's a long story, but I know that God was in it. I even thought one day that when God called us as a family to leave my mother home, my fatherland, and come to Kenya, was it because of Corey? Was it because of Sylvia? And I remember I asked a pastor one day in our mission about that. And he said, well, he would think that if it was from God, he'd have maybe used somebody else and not me. And I still didn't understand that. What is God saying? And we would pray about it and would draw close to God with this. And as the month and years went by, it seemed like they were growing together. So we came over that 6 weeks we were here, and we went to the Masai Mara, and Corey was driving and with a little car, and I told Sylvia and my wife that we'll find out what kind of guy he is by driving to the Mara. For those of you that have been there, it's a 6-hour trip. You get stuck 10 times or 20 times, and there's 15 Africans on top of your vehicle trying to help you. And that's when an American kind of goes, wow, this is too much. But Corey just stayed calm. He did very good, and my wife and I would get out and walk, and others would push. And anyway, that 6 weeks, we just spent time. We just went around. But toward the end of that 6-week period, we told them one night that we prayed about it. We don't know how to move ahead other than giving you the blessing to get married, but just do it legally and with Jesus Christ foremost in your heart and lives. And they committed to that. The next morning they said that they didn't sleep very well because now it was on them. We had released them, we gave them the blessing, but now it was on them. So it went from there, and I feel today, fast forwarding now, I did get COVID, and we came back in 19 to U.S. I had COVID in 20. I was in the ventilator for 21 days. I had an out-of-body experience. I met Jesus and I met angels. I was out-of-body experience. So I was in and out of life for maybe a week.
Dang.
So Sylvia was praying, the family was praying, the church was praying, and the doctor said there's nothing we can do. It'll just take its course. So they got ready they were thinking I was not going to make it and I was going to die. Well, God somehow brought me back. And Sylvia kept saying, I want to get married. I want to go to Kenya.
Yeah, so my dad just had to make very sure that everything was going to be okay. I wasn't going to be handed to a brother for a wife after he dies, or how is dowry done. Like, he just wanted to iron so many of those things out with his parents before he even allows us to date. So he did that. They found their peace, they got to know him, and yeah, that's how they finally told us on our last week here, you guys can officially date. So me being from Amish background, before I'd come, I had anticipated that they'll approve of him. So I had hands-on my own dress for that first date. So we went and did a photo shoot, and we went to Acacia. That night we had our first kiss. During that time we got engaged. We had went to a certain garden in Nandi Hills, and he proposed to me, and I said yes. And yeah, I flew back home. And
now I get it. I understand their fears, their doubts, and luckily I also understand how they came to accept and support Sylvia's love. So let's take a step back. Let's go to Bichanga and Sylvia's wedding, and yes, her parents were there. They showed up.
Yes, she's the one.
So that was in April when she got married. I was here. She got married on Rasinga Island, and God made it a way that I could be here.
I can say we spent time with them like my husband shared, and I can say we came out feeling very blessed to have him. He was a very fine young man, and we ended up blessing them. And it was such a joy to know that everything is good, everything is fine, and that is the way we went forward. And I'm so glad we did, because when my husband became sick, I had nothing of that on my heart. My feelings were clear and clean, and I guess we were ready for the next obstacle to work through. But God is always faithful, and yeah, I know there was a lot of things we faced in that, but it's not there anymore. So God is good, and they're having such a good family started based on the Lord Jesus Christ. And we hope they can continue like that, as well as all of us. So yeah, God is good. That's all I can say.
my dad, my mom, my 3 brothers, and my older sister, and one of my nieces, they were all at my wedding.
So we've been coming back. We were back here a year ago. We were to Israel and to Europe, but we came to visit. And we prayed about them because Sylvia, with her health issues, the doctors didn't think she could ever have a baby. And I know for Kenya culture, that's not good for a man to not pass on the family name. And I remember we just prayed about it, and they met some doctors and they helped them out. Sylvia's going to have that story sometime. But you know, to come back a year later and we have a baby boy in Kisumu town. And now he's my grandson.
Because love is the most powerful force in the world. You can't hide it, you can't ignore it, and the most surprising thing, you can't stop it. Love is like a cough, you just can't hold it in. And love has a product of its own, a child. Today, I'm with this couple, and we are flying to Africa to celebrate the beautiful product of Bichanga and Sylvia's love.
Okay, here we are.
Today, there is no grudge, no anger. Today, we're celebrating every second of this journey.
Hello.
When we arrived in Kenya, we received the warmest welcome. We're at Bichanga's home now, waiting to meet the beautiful fruit of their love. My heart is racing, my hands are shaking. This is a moment we've all been waiting for. I can't wait to see this amazing baby. And now, here he is. Wow, what a beautiful baby. I can't take my eyes off him.
We are enjoying time again at the present here at the Bichanga house. And we are just loving and adoring baby Tavi. He is kind of the boss in this house right now. We all dance for him. But we've had some lovely times here. And we've had tense times until that baby was born. But after that, then we were having visitors and different people came, especially the Bichanga family. They would come, and Corey's mom and dad, Doris and Joshua Bichanga, were here for supper one night, and we cooked some food. We had a very good time with them. So yeah, we are just having a good time, and God has been so good to us. Yeah, and we are having to think about going back now, looking for tickets and all that good stuff. So
I'm very happy again to be in Kenya. I love the Kenya people. We go back to the church where we used to minister to, and they're all our friends and they're like family. And so I guess Kenya is my second home. And I really do believe that. If you want to follow up with us, we're on YouTube at Gerald and Becky Miller channel, and also we're on Facebook and Instagram. You can reach us at that. We were here a week before the baby was born, and it's been 4 weeks now, and we're getting ready to go back to the U.S.
As my time with this family comes to an end, I can't hold back my joyful tears. It's such an emotional moment. What a time to be alive. This is what I mean when I say true love. You can fight it, you can put up barriers, but love is like water, it finds its way. Look at where they started and look at where we are now. No one could have predicted this ending. And their baby, this little one, is proof of what love can do. Sylvia and Bichanga's story is one of the most beautiful, emotional, and successful love stories I've ever witnessed. It's a story that I believe one day will inspire Hollywood to make a movie.
And one last word that I can tell my audience or people who are watching this from just our story, just one word or just one sentence: quitting is not an option. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. I am Nameless Campos, and this is Afrimax English. Remember to subscribe.
Hey, this was a great video to watch, and it's amazing to see how her parents were a certain way in the beginning, and then after watching this whole video, their whole perspective of their relationship changed. They were supportive of their daughter. They were afraid that their daughter wasn't marrying the right man. They were afraid that this man was going to be a bad man. It's good to see happiness. This woman knew from the moment she seen this man that he was the one for her. And I'm sure it was vice versa as well for him. One thing you can't stop is true love. This woman was dedicated to this man. She flew back to America and she told him, wait for me for a year. And he said the same. And she ended up getting back to Africa, Kenya in specific, and marrying this man. And they started a family. That's amazing to see. And she did something that hasn't been done in her family. She broke the barriers. She married a black man. She married an African man. Obviously, her parents wasn't for that in the beginning, but after spending time with this man, spending time with his family, they realized he was a good man. That's all it took, was for them to spend time with him and break him down to see if he was the right fit for their daughter. And it turns out he was. They look happy. This is a beautiful thing to see. This is what we don't see a lot in America. Happy relationships, true love. It's too much madness going on pertaining to relationships in the time we're in, especially in the black community, man. It seems like it's a war every single day. The man won't do this. The woman won't do that. I'm tired of women doing this. I'm tired of men doing that. Non-stop. Why this woman is in a peaceful relationship, why this woman found her person and they tied the knot quickly. They didn't waste no time. And again, this is a wonderful thing to see. And I feel like more people should look at this as motivation, inspiration, because they really love each other. It's nothing faulty about this marriage. It's nothing fake about this marriage. It's real, genuine love. And that's always a beautiful thing to see. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section. How'd y'all feel about this video? Do y'all think the parents were racist? Or do y'all think they wasn't racist? They were just looking out for their daughter. But that's all I got for you guys. And make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'm gone. Peace.